I'm going to share with you the exact career strategy that I personally took and give you examples. Hopefully, this will help you also leverage the same strategy I'm going to share with you. I call it the launch pad strategy. Basically, every single job that you do is going to be a new launch pad for you on your next job. So, for instance, in high school, I worked in data entry as an intern. I also worked at my parents' restaurant doing waitressing. And so those are launch pad jobs. Those are low paying jobs that are launch pads for you, as in you learn how to deal with people. It's your first waitressing job. So I was 14 years old when I started doing waitressing, and it taught me how to deal with people of different ages. And then eventually in college, I was still doing bartending and waitressing and working a lot, but those were all launchpad jobs for me for my sales job. Right? By the time I was 23 years old and I identified that I could not really follow through and get like a fancy STEM job because I didn't have coding experience. I didn't have a coding technology background. I didn't have a science background. I didn't have an engineering background. I had a finance background, but finance in 2009 was probably the worst year you could try to break into finance. So then I decided to use all of my experience doing waitressing and hospitality. That was a launch pad that helped me get my sales job, because I was able to, at my sales job, talk about my hustling as also an eBay entrepreneur, selling stuff on eBay during college to pay for college expenses. So everything you do is a launch pad. A lot of people discount the value of minimum wage jobs, of low paying jobs, or of jobs that are quote unquote lowly. They think that those jobs are too low and they don't want to do it. And that is the biggest mistake you're making, is that all of these low paying jobs, all of this like shitty jobs, they are your launch pad. They're what you're going to use to then parlay yourself to the next role, and then the next role, and then the next role. So after I got into sales, I became very successful at sales, and I also used that money to parlay into real estate investing and become a real estate investor. And that's what led me to retire when I was 28 years old, right? So you use the opportunities you're given, and you use them to launch yourself into the next stage of your life. And nothing is ever too small, and nothing is ever lowly enough, because you can use all of these low jobs to parlay yourself into higher and better roles. And that's the strategy, is to not stay stagnant, is not to only stay where you're at. Use everything to parlay yourself to that next stage of growth and life achievement. That's how you climb up this ladder.